I've been really clear right from the get-go, this is what your final is. This is what we've been working on. Here's the target, and we've been working on it.
Okay, so reflecting on your learning in Socrates Cafe using the learning scales.
What people were doing before that, or at least what we were doing before that, what we had been introduced to.
Michaela Byam to the middle level office. Michaela Byam to the middle level office.
Was understanding by design. And so it's similar in that you start with the end in mind and you design backwards. But in this case, you're really designing not just where you're going to end up content-wise or even big idea-wise, but where you're going to end up skill-wise, and then map backwards. What opportunities and experiences are you going to provide for students so that you can coach them to get all the way, to proficient and beyond?
So we do things called learning scales. I don't know if you know anything about them, but it pretty much goes from getting started, basic proficiency, proficient, and proficient with distinction. And then you just compare your work to the learning scale, and if you meet the criteria, you're proficient.
We can think about what is a good listener, what is a good speaker, but I also think that as it was a new class, it was a clean slate where we could really work on proficiencies.
They don't make the learning scale and just show it to you. It's like it's a discussion about what should be on the learning scale, what should be considered proficient.
That for us has been key this year, is including the students in the conversation right from the beginning. We showed them the scales, we put it so that they could edit and comment.
Kate's really good at, what are the learning opportunities we can do so that by the time a student looks at the learning scale, they see, oh, I'm already on it.
Just a real entry point, like an on-ramp. And here's what you do next, and here's what you do next. And we were getting so much better, actually, or at least I was getting better at teaching all of the tiny little steps.
Link evidence of why you, watch out, not behind you, why you're thinking where you are. Okay, so find evidence, and if you can't find them, you can ask, what are you using for evidence? Or you can call one of us over, okay? Step 3, you're gonna get into an assigned pair, and we're gonna do this to just mix people up. We'll do it by number after, to talk about how did you evaluate yourself, which one did you use, and then what did you use for evidence. And then the last piece is reconvening in the large group and sharing a little bit about, please describe one way in which you've grown in Socrates Cafe this year, okay?
It's not like slapping grades on stuff anymore. It's a understanding based thing.
I'm the valedictorian for this class, and so yeah, I would whip out worksheet after worksheet, and sometimes it would just be simple answers, didn't even have to think about it much or apply myself much, and they would just stamp a 100 on it, and I wouldn't even know it the next day. Sometimes I would have to look over it again for a test, but yeah, I'm not sure.
It's not really you go in, you take a test, you know all the answers on the test, so forth, you understand it. It's actually presenting, saying, knowing in your mind what something is. Certain students that might normally struggle at the old system, for example, I know for a fact I don't do well on testing. Don't think of it as slapping a grade on something and being done. Think of it as assessing a student's understanding of the topic.
In some ways, I think one of the biggest challenges is a sort of reluctance to move in that direction. I'm really thinking about the start of the year when it was first sort of being really implemented. And I remember, definitely including myself, everyone was very wary of it and very, I don't want to do this. This is stupid. It's going to destroy all the hard work I've done to get a GPA, or what if I'm going to fail because on a learning scale, if I get a 4, then it might be an 80.
It needs to be equal for all students, and test quizzes and certain things just don't sometimes work that way.
It's hard to say because the learning scales, I don't know, because you have to self-assess on the learning scales, so you're thinking about what you're learning, whereas before I was just thinking that I knew it because I did it, and there wasn't any self-reflection. So now I have to be did I learn this? And I'm no, I need to learn it again. I obviously didn't meet the proficiency.
in Socrates Cafe, it feels more like we're working towards learning the skills rather than working towards having an outstanding GPA. Because I think there we feel as though if we have the right skills, then a good GPA will follow.
Before Socrates Cafe, I didn't even realize that it was a common thing, and now it's something that I have really present in my life. Like I really use it. Like when I'm arguing with a friend or something, and it's like, okay, I'm right, but it's not that I'm right. It's maybe because I'm assuming something and I think I'm right. So now that I know this, I try to calm myself and like explain them. They could be grown to, or trying to talk. So Socrates Cafe has really helped me with that.
That something else is, I think, true understanding. And that when I say understanding, I mean that a student goes in, they know what the teacher's talking about, they know what the subject is, and they know how to present it to other people.
I think I'm just kind of excited that I've got a final exam. It's not a secret. It's not, something where I'm gonna I don't know, we grew up where you got tricked and you had to guess what's the teacher gonna put on that exam, and you study everything and memorize. And here it's sort of like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to show them.
And it's also you're saying to them, where are you? And what are we gonna do to help you move forward? You're here the whole time for supporting and moving them forward. And I think that's also a difference. It's not like I'm telling you how you're doing. It's like,
And we've been practicing it, I'll give them examples. Like we do in Socrates Cafe, we practice, we give examples, and let them play with it.
It feels more similar to life, or what I know of it, because I think that things aren't just given a number. Not everything can be quantified. So I think having learning scales where you can sort of see where you are and work your way up it is a much more organic process. And I think it's proficiency-based is definitely moving in the right direction. I think it's just working out how we can move it.